Hello, and welcome to part two of the four-part series on turning pain into gain. And today I'll be speaking on unresolved pain. This is very vital because a lot of people are moving around with pain that they have not resolved and they are not even aware of it. And then they're wondering why they are not living their best life. So let's look at this. If you were chopping onions, let's say you're cooking and then you're chopping some onions, and then suddenly or accidentally you cut yourself with a knife, what do? No matter how urgent the meal you're making is, something more urgent than that has happened. So what do? You leave everything behind and you're going to take care of that pain. You're going to clean it up and then you're going to put Band-Aid on it. Why? Because if you don't take care of it, it might get infected and that entire hand may be incapacitated. And then it takes you a longer time for that pain for that cut to heal. So now you're not able to use that hand. That is exactly what happens to you when you move around with pain that has not been healed, no matter what the source of that pain is. When you don't take care of it, it affects your entire life. And in part one, I mentioned some of the causes of pain, and one of that being unmet expectation. Betrayal can also be another reason, which is similar to unmet expectation. Perhaps you were in a relationship that you thought was going to end up in that was going to be long lasting, and then suddenly something happens, you didn't see that coming, and then the relationship ended. So now you feel betrayed. It might not even be in a relationship with the opposite gender. It might be a friend that you've been there for, you're giving your best to, and then suddenly it's like a stab in the back. They stab you, and here you are feeling betrayed. So when this happens, you find yourself stereotyping. And then if it was a relationship with the opposite gender, that's when you see women, maybe you've heard it or maybe you've even said it. That's when you hear people saying all men are the same or women can be trusted. So you're putting everybody in that category, the same category, because someone of that gender disappointed you. So when you find yourself behaving like this, it is indicative of a wound or a pain that has not been healed. And here's what it does to you. It isolates you because if you are a woman and you're thinking men can be trusted, you build a wall. Now that wall will shield you from getting hurt again. But here's another thing it does to you, because it's like a prison. What is the motive of a prison? When someone is in a prison, you can't get out. So when you build that wall around yourself, you're self-protecting, and at the same time you can't go out and nobody comes in. So it does not allow you to meet other people. Now, one or two people may have hurt you, but it doesn't mean that everybody of that gender or everybody of that race is the same. This is indicative of a pain that has not been resolved. It isolates you. And then at the end of the day, when you're isolated, you feel lonely. It affects every area of your life. So if you see yourself or you know someone that is always stereotyping, that is indicative that they are still moving around with pain that has not been resolved. Maybe you've been in a situation where you dated one person and then a second time, a third time. Instead of categorizing that gender, here's a better thing to do. You can stop and ask yourself, what is it about me that is attracting this type of people? So instead of wasting time, spending energy, categorizing and stereotyping, this is a time to look into yourself and say, what is it about me? Maybe what is the kind of value that I have put on myself? Do I have self-worth? Do I love myself? Do I care about myself? So because the energy you put out is what's going to come back to you. So instead of you stereotyping and condemning, that is a time to look inwards and then ask yourself those very hard, deep questions. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, it is going to help you. That is why this channel or this particular series is called Turning Pain into Gain, because pain is not Pain is painful, but how you deal with pain is going to determine how you come out, because it is said, no pain, no gain. I tell you, there are so many people today, they have become who they are because of the things that they have gone through. I always say it, there is always a gift. There is always a lesson in every experience. The only way you can gain from what has happened to you is to stop and look at it objectively. Because if you look at pain through the eyes of pain, you can only see pain. But if you look at it and say, hey, what is the purpose? Remember that this is finding purpose. What does that mean? Finding the meaning, finding the reason why. What is the reason for this happening to me? Because everything that happens to you happens to build you, not to break you. But how you come out is totally dependent on you. Every day we make choices. You can choose to be built, you can choose to be damaged, you can choose to break, you can choose to build, you can choose to be better through the experiences that you go through, or you can also choose to be bitter. It's all a matter of choice, it's a matter of perspective. When you find yourself thinking negatively about any situation, that is the time to stop and rethink, because here's the thing, you need a paradigm shift. When you are thinking negatively about everything, that means that your mindset needs to be changed, because when you look at things through a faulty lens, it's going to seem faulty to you. Here's the thing, here's a test that I'm going to give you. Look, find a mirror that is dusty, and look at an object through that mirror. You will never see a clear picture or an authentic image. You're going to see a blurry picture. Why? Because the lens through which you are observing that thing is blurry. This is exactly what happens when you are carrying pain that you have not resolved. Everything that happens to you will be interpreted through the lens of pain. So this is why unresolved pain is very dangerous. Every time someone says something to you, you misinterpret, you misunderstand people. You always think that everybody's out to get you. You don't trust. There's always a mistrust. You don't trust people. And because you don't trust people, you feel the need to guard yourself. You want to protect yourself because everything is against you. You can't live life like this. Everything about life is energy. When you put out negative energy, negative is going to come back to you. And then what happens? You keep asking yourself, why is this happening to me? You realize that almost every experience you have is negative. When you are experiencing one negative thing after another, it is the time for you to stop and ask yourself, why am I going through this? And the why is not to feel like a victim, because there is a kind of why you ask, which is like a pity party. Why me? Why me? That is not the kind of why talking about. I'm talking about the why of what is the purpose? What is the purpose? I might be giving some some scriptures. There is a scripture that says that God does not take pleasure in the affliction, in the sufferings of people. So if I am suffering, then what is the purpose? Meaning that everything has a purpose. You are meant to be built. There are some character traits that you will never develop if you didn't go through pain. Now, here's the thing. If, let's say, for instance, you have a project that you are embarking on, and then you have people that are helping you and you're delegating. Now, maybe as you were delegating, you completely trusted that every person that you gave an assignment was going to do it. So you never asked for a feedback. And then at the end of the day, you realize that some did not do it. You're going to be disappointed, yes. But if you leave it at that and say, oh, I will never, when I have a project, I will never give an assignment, delegate to people. But here's the thing, you can't do everything by yourself. But the lesson you need is the next time I have a project, even when I do delegate, I'm always going to get constant feedback. That is the lesson. Instead of just delegating and assuming. So the lesson you need is now for you, never assume. The fact that I have delegated this to someone does not mean that they will do it to my satisfaction. So, what I have learned, the gift I have taken out of that experience is never to assume. So, the next time you have a project, what do? You delegate, but then you also ask for constant feedback so that if there are loopholes, there is an opportunity and a time for you to correct it before you get to the point where it is too late. So that is why whenever you have an experience that is negative, make sure that you cover up, make sure that you heal from it. And this also goes to going from one relationship to another. When you have had a relationship that didn't go well, make sure you heal. Ask yourself some certain questions. Were there red flags in the course before this relationship hit the ground? Were there red flags that I ignored? Maybe you never knew about red flags. Maybe those things were there, but you thought, oh, he'll change, oh, she'll change. But at the end of the day, they didn't. Now, here's the lesson in it. When you take your time and you look at the things that have happened before and after, then you can say, oh, this was there, but I didn't notice, or that was there, but I assumed that it would change. So here's the lesson in it. After you have healed, taking some time to ask yourself those questions. What could I have done? Was there something I could have done differently in this situation? When you have asked those hard questions, now what you're going to take